Hey there, Wildcats. How you doing? In this tutorial, I am going to show you how to use OBS software to set up your little broadcast studio in your classroom. This is the software you will use to do your pre-recorded lessons and also to live stream them to YouTube. So I have two quick goals for you today. Goal number one is you will learn how to actually create the little studio. And goal number two, you will know how to pre-record your first lesson. So let's get started. I use an analogy between this software and the theater, and I know that Rhonda will appreciate that. In the top window here, I have what I think of this as the stage. This is what everyone on the other end is going to see. When you record your video, when you stream your video, anything on this stage is what the audience is going to see. Now behind the scenes, behind the curtains, we have two things going on. Down here in the left panel, we actually have the scene, and the scene right now there's just one. It's named scene. By the time we finish this tutorial, there will be two scenes, and each of these scenes I can put on the stage whenever I choose to. You know, the curtain will rise, and I will be able to choose which of the scenes I have in this panel is going to appear on the stage. And then making up the scene, I have these sources. So these sources are like the actors and the actresses making up a scene in a play. But in this case, my actors and actresses are things like microphones, PowerPoint presentations, video cameras, stuff like that. You can see right now I have two actors or actresses in my sources. I have the Rode microphone. That is so that you can hear me. And I have the desktop. That is so that you can see what I'm doing in this program. If I had none of those things selected, I'll deselect the desktop, and that vanishes. I'll deselect the microphone, and that determines what is visible and what is hearable. So let's get your first scene set up. Your first scene is going to be your desktop. So I want you to come over here and click on scene, do a control click, and rename this. Let's rename this desktop teaching. All right, so that when it's time for you to teach from your desktop, this is the scene you will use. And I want you to come now over to the sources. I want you to add a source. And the source I want you to add is this display capture. Okay, you're going to create new, and here you have a chance to rename it. Let's go ahead and rename that desktop so you know what it is that is displaying. That's going to display the desktop of your computer. Now I already have my desktop created. You can see it down here, it's in add existing. So I'm not going to click OK. I am going to click cancel. I want you to click OK. Once you clicked OK, you should now see desktop here as your source, and you will see something populate up here on your stage. So now we have the first element of our desktop teaching, the desktop. Now we need to add one more element, one more source, and that source is going to be you. In this case, me. I'm going to add my video capture device. For you, your video capture device is going to be your FaceTime camera on your MacBook. So go ahead and put FaceTime camera and add. I'm sorry, and then click OK. May take a moment for it to pop up. Once it does, under device, you're going to want to put your FaceTime camera. Now I don't have it because I'm using a Windows machine. I'm going to use my Nikon camera. And then I'm going to click OK. And hey, there we are. We have now entered the scene. Welcome. So now you see that I have two elements. I have now two elements in the scene. Well, actually I have three because I have my microphone. You're going to have two. You're going to have your FaceTime camera, and you're going to have your desktop. And right now it looks pretty cluttered, a little bit messy. So something that I want to share with you over here in the sources is that these sources are layered, and whatever is on top is what the audience will see. So right now the FaceTime camera is on top, so that is what's on top of the stage, and that's what the audience will see. Watch what happens if I select my FaceTime camera and this drop-down arrow. I'm going to move it down, and if I move it down below the desktop, I've disappeared because I am now below the desktop. So let's move that back up. There I am. And we're going to put this in a more pleasing place. Over here on the right is kind of the industry standard. In fact, all your kids, this is going to look very familiar to all your students. your students who watch gamers on Twitch and actually watch people doing teaching videos, instructional videos, they're going to generally see the teacher down here on the right hand side. So that's where we're going to stick ourselves here. All right. Now we have a scene that has two elements, the FaceTime camera and the desktop. So I'm going to show you what you can do now that you have the desktop selected. You're seeing my program, but anything that I bring up on this desktop will appear there. Let's check out PowerPoint. Many of you are going to be using PowerPoint presentations, and you will see that now PowerPoint shows up, and my face is still there. So I can now teach. Students can see me, they can see my PowerPoint presentation, and I can share with them whatever I have on these slides. This was a PowerPoint presentation I made as a little about me, thinking that I want to use this to show new kids what I'm all about, what I did for the summer, a little get to know you activity using my PowerPoint. All right, so that's how the desktop works. That's the desktop teaching scene. Anything you bring up, anything you open will appear beneath your face. What else might I want to bring up? I might want to bring up a web browser. Let's say that I want to, I want to go over Schoology. I'll just bring this in here, and there's my Schoology. I can basically take kids through anything, any web browser. I could bring up YouTube videos here. There's Krista's Corner. We'll go to YouTube. If you have videos on YouTube, this is the place you can go and show them. All right? So that's your desktop teaching app. Now there's one more scene that I would like you to create. And in order to do this in the simplest fashion, I'm going to ask you to control click on desktop teaching. Once you control click on that, let's duplicate that. Please enter the name of the scene. This new scene is going to be called full screen. 2 E's is enough. Full screen teacher. All right, here we have the full screen teacher. You'll notice it's the same, has the same 3 elements. And when I click here on either desktop teaching or full screen teacher, nothing changes. Why? Because they're duplicates. Hey, how about that? Now, I don't want the desktop in this one. So in the full-time, make sure you have full-time teacher screen selected. Click on desktop and come down here and click on subtract. We'll get rid of the desktop. Are you sure you want to remove desktop? Yep, I am sure. And now we're left with nothing but our own camera image. So I'm going to take this camera image and I'll go ahead and enlarge it. That's pretty good. And now we have full screen teacher. So this is, I think that there are just times that you're going to want to use this screen. For your kids, this is when you're giving some direct face-to-face kind of instruction. You would talk directly to your kids, and you want them to see you loud and clear. This is the option you will use. Now watch what happens. Remember, this is the stage. These are my scenes. Full screen teacher is chosen. Now I'm going to change scenes. I'm going to change to desktop teaching, and voila, it fades in, and I can go back to my PowerPoint or whatever it is I was teaching. And if I want to come back to a point in the lesson where I'm going to ask the kids for some questions or give them some think time, and I'm going to talk to them directly, I change scenes to my full-time teacher. Okay, so those are the 2 scenes that I promised you we would create today. And if you need to, please rewind the video, get yourself caught up with these 2 scenes. The next thing and the final thing that I want to teach you today is how to use OBS to record your first lesson. Now, it's a little bit challenging for me here to do this the way I want to do it, because if you'll notice over on the right, under Controls, we have Start Streaming. Don't worry about that. Don't click on that. We're not going to do that till next week. And below that, we have Recording. Now, mine says Stop Recording. That's because I'm already recording. And the reason I'm recording is because the video I am making right now that you're watching, I used OBS Studio to create, and I pressed Start Recording at the beginning, and now I'm continue to record, and I'm sharing that with you. So when you are all ready, when you've got your scene set and you've got your script, you're ready to go, click Start Recording. move between your scenes as you need to, do the teaching with your PowerPoints, your Word documents, your browsers, whatever you need to do until the lesson is finished, and then you will click on stop recording. I'm not going to click stop recording because if I do, poof, I vanish. Once you have stopped recording, it's very simple to find your videos. You come up here and click on File, Show Recordings. And here's the current recording that I'm making right now, and here's some recordings that I previously made. Remember I told you I made a recording where I introduced myself using PowerPoint? I'm gonna open that up. First though, I am going to eliminate myself here, because if I don't, you'll see me twice, and seeing me once is enough. So let's go to File, Show Recordings. This is the previous recording I made to introduce myself to my kids.
Hey everybody, my name is Mr. Mosner. I'm the assistant principal here at the middle school, and I just want to share with you a little bit about myself, and what I have been doing for the past few months, and since we saw each other last, if you're returning to the middle school here, or for the first time if I have not met you yet. And I'm looking forward to meeting all of you. Anyway, this past summer, I think I spent more time outside than I have in any recent summer. Certainly COVID-19 has a lot to do with that. It just felt like, the right thing to do to get away from people a little bit more and a little closer to nature. So in this first picture, you're seeing one of my favorite spots where I spent the summer, and that was down on the Niobrara River. And this has to be the most scenic outhouse in the world. I do not know that I've ever found a more pleasant place to relieve myself.
All right, there you have it. That's how to set up your studio. That's how to set up 2 scenes, and that is how to pre-record your first lesson and then find the video of you recording it. Something I almost forgot to show you, and your folks on your tech team can help you with this. When you do go to record your video, it has to be in a particular format. So let me show you how to do that. That's going to be down here in Settings, and we're going to take a look at I believe, is it Output? Yes, it is Output. Now I can't change this output right now because I am currently recording. But when you're not recording, I want you to come down here to this box, Recording Format. Yours probably says MKV here. Make sure it says MP4. Set that to MP4. Otherwise, you won't be able to replay your video. So that's pretty important to do that. Recording Format, MP4. Any questions on that, you know where to hit me up in Teams. And you also have members of your tech team that you can address questions to. I hope you get this go. This weekend, I'm sure you're going to need some rest and relaxation, but now you could be thinking about the little script that you're going to want to use to introduce yourself to your class and get your first lesson off the ground. I think we should keep it simple. We don't need to do too much. You may notice or recall that in this particular live feed today, the live feed portion was very short. I basically just told you guys I was going to show you a video, and then I gave you a video which you could use to learn at your own pace in your own time. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great afternoon.